Good something everyone, I'm Gamriel and welcome to something different. So this is not gonna be gaming related like most of my other videos. This is a side series that I thought I'd start. Basically the main tricks you hear when you start YouTube, coming from the community and whatsoever, is that you should embrace your uniqueness and do stuff with what is unique to you. Now it just so happens that among my group of friends, like among my friends on YouTube and the community and the guys I hang with, I'm one of the only ones who speak French. So I thought I'd make a little series to try to teach you guys to speak a little bit of French. I'm gonna call this hashtag Baguette, as you could see in the title. It's not gonna be the most academical thing in the whole universe, but at least it'll give you a few tricks, or you can laugh at the French language because it's not really the most badass language in the world. Anyway, this is gonna be just a pilot episode, basically episode 0. I'm gonna try to see if you guys like it. If you do, leave a like and tell me in the comments what you thought about it, what you'd like to see in the future, yada yada, whatever. This is, I'm trying something here. If you like it, good. If you don't like it, then we won't make more. That's it. So, this episode I'm gonna try to give you a little guide for when you go on a trip into a French-speaking country like France, like province of Quebec in Canada, like Haiti, I think, that most people speak French. Basically, if you go on a trip and people speak French, you can have a little base. Ideally, learn French if you're going to a French country, obviously. But if you don't have time for that, maybe my guy will help you. First of all, before even starting with the words and expressions, I want to address the letter R. Because the letter R is pretty much the bane of any English-speaking person who wants to learn French. From what I could see among my English friends, letter R is hard to pronounce for a non-French speaker. Basically, how English people pronounce R is how I said it 3 or 4 times already. It's R, comes from the jaw and a little bit in the back of the throat. But in French, it's pronounced R. So right would become right. It has to come really from deep in the throat. If the series catch on, I'll make a full episode on pronunciation of letters, but the R is really important. Try to practice your R. I think that was it for the R. Yeah, it's a letter English people struggle with a lot when learning French, so I wanted to address this first. Also, I'd like to address a difference, a very important difference in pronouns in English and French. So the 6 pronouns in English are I, you, he, she, or it, we, you, and they. But in French, it's je, tu, il, elle, nous, vous, il, elle. So you can see kind of a pattern. However, tu and vous are 2 very different things. It's not like you and you, which are pretty much the same word in English. What you want to know is that, although stating the obvious, tu is the first one, so it's singular, so it's when you address one person, and vous is plural, so it's when you address several people. You can still use vous, the second one, as a mark of respect to someone. So if you go into a French country and you don't know anyone, it's better to talk with the vous instead of the tu, because it's a more respectful. Tu is more familiar, it's more with your friends. So with that in mind, let's start with a few basics. So when you go to a French country, you want to know how to say hi, for example. The most basic conversation starter is hello. So there are several ways to say them. There is salutation, which would probably be the most respectful one, I guess. Like, nobody uses it. It's way too pompous and way too serious. Nobody uses it ever, except if they want to look arrogant and pompous. There is also bonjour, which is the classical one, the one you're most likely gonna use. It's a respectful way to say hi to someone you don't really know. There's also salut, which is more familiar. You say salut to your friends. It's like, hey, sup, what up, dog? And then I think those are the only ones you need, like bonjour and salut. So if you have friends over there, you can say salut. But if you don't know the person, you want to say bonjour, which is more polite. You might also want to know how to say thank you and you're welcome. So thank you is merci, it's a very short word. Very simple, doesn't really change. You can say merci beaucoup, which is thanks a lot. For the you're welcome, you have bienvenue, but that's only where I live. That's only in French Canada that you're gonna hear people say bienvenue. In France and most other countries, they say de rien. So you want to remember that de rien, but if you come to French Canada, just come and say hi, I guess. You can say bienvenue and people will totally understand you and use that word too. S'il vous plaît is an important expression. It means please. I know it's several words, but it's just please. So if you want to be polite, I'm insisting a lot on politeness, but when you visit a new country, you want to be as nice as possible to the natives. So bear with me. So s'il vous plaît means please. Next up, we're gonna have how to ask how a person is doing. You can say comment ça va, which is yet again a bit more. Well, it's a tiny bit more familiar, but you can still use it with people you don't really know. It's just a more casual way of saying it, I guess. And you also have comment allez-vous, which is a really polite version. You see the vous here, it's basically how are you doing. While comment ça va would be hey, how you doing. Basically the same thing. You might want to know how to say sir and lady, I guess. So these are monsieur and madame, or Mr. and Miss. Yes, no, pretty simple, you guys probably know it already. It's oui and non. How to say I don't know would be je ne sais pas. Several words. If we do an episode on the verbs, we're gonna go over the verbs like a lot, so we're gonna examine these expressions. But for now, just know how to say these precise expressions. Désolé would mean I'm sorry. Might want to know also for directions, we're gonna come to that a little later in the episode, but here and over there would be the way of saying it. So ici means here, and over there would be là-bas, so in that general direction. Lastly, for the basic words would be how much something is, because you're probably gonna buy a lot of souvenirs and whatnot, and food. So combien ça coûte or quel est le prix would be both legit sentences you could say to ask for the price of something. We're gonna go over numbers also in this episode. So those are for the basics. So all these things you should know if you're going to a country where they speak French, so you can understand a bit more. Now I'm gonna pass a few words that are more related to a trip. So first of all, what you're gonna bring, your luggage, your suitcase. So if you have a legit suitcase, like little clips on it and a little handle, that would be a valise. It's a valise. I didn't pronounce it well, sorry. But if it's just like a bag or a lot of things, then you can say bagage, which would mean luggage. Also, a trip in English and in French, mixing my languages, would be voyage, like a voyage. Voyage is the most common term in French. Hotel remains the same, which is nice. Restaurant too, but it's pronounced restaurant. You see the R's there, and that's why I insisted in the R's. For those of you who go to French country to drink, perhaps beer is pronounced bière in French, but they're gonna ask you what kind of beer you want. So you usually, well, I know here in Canada, here in Montreal, if you ask for a beer and you say the brand of the beer in English, they'll usually understand. I don't know for other countries, that'd be to check. Also, draft beer in French would be bière en fût. T not pronounced. And final word, probably one of the funniest one, is airport. Airport in French kind of looks like airport in English. It's called aéroport. However, if you manage to pronounce that on your first try, congratulations, because even French speakers can't pronounce this friggin' word. So if you try to pronounce it and you get it perfect on the first try, you are an amazing person. Okay, we're getting to a few important tricks also related to when you're on a trip. For example, asking for directions. The expression asking for direction will be translated as demander son chemin. Demander meaning asking, and chemin meaning a way. So asking for where you're going. Left and right, which might be important because they're probably going to say, oh, you go to the left and then to the right at this street and blah blah blah. Left is gauche and right is droite. can hear the little R again. As for asking for directions directly, the sentence you'd want to use is où est, which literally translates as where is. Blank, I guess, and then you add the monument or the address or the street you're looking for, and people in the street are usually pretty nice. They'll probably tell you how to reach your destination. So focus on that a little bit. Also, I'm going to translate for you north, south, east, and west, because people might tell you directions with these instead of left or right. It's kind of rare, but it might happen. So north is nord, kind of similar. South is sud. East is est, so basically the same thing without the A. And the west is west. It's not written the same way, but it's pronounced the same way for this one. You might also want to ask, say in a restaurant, for example, where's the bathroom? Or where's the restroom? Well, I get because bathroom is more for the house. So you can ask to this person, où sont les toilettes? Well, basically, where are the toilet? It's les toilettes, it's in plural, that's how we pronounce it in French, it means the same thing as a restroom in English. That's basically it. You might also want to ask for the time. If you have a meeting or if you have to go to a specific place at a specific time, you might want to ask the time to someone in the street. You can ask, what time is it? Would be quelle heure est-il? Here in French Canada it would be il est quelle heure, because we pronounce things differently a little bit. In most countries it's going to be quelle heure est-il. We're going to go with the time in a few minutes. And lastly, a question you might want to ask to people in the streets would be if those people could take a picture of you and your girlfriend, for example, in front of a monument or a house you think is nice. So that question would translate as pourriez-vous prendre une photo de nous? That sounds awfully complicated. I'm going to repeat it slowly. Pourriez-vous prendre une photo de nous? Literally, like, could you take a picture of us? It might be useful a couple times. Now we are at numbers. We're not going to go to really high numbers, because I don't think you're going to buy a dishwasher or a fridge while you're on a trip to a French country. But we're gonna go up to 20 because you might want to spend a couple dollars to buy food or things like that. So I'll put the numbers of on the screen and tell you how they're pronounced. So 1 is 1, 2 is 2, 3 is 3, 4 is 4, 5 is 5, 6 is 6, pretty similar, 7 is 7, 8 is 8, 9 is 9, and 9 is 9, I'm sorry, I'm mixing up my languages again, and 10 is 10. After that we have 11, which is 11, 12, which is 12, 13, which is 13, 14, 14, 15, 15, 16, 16, 17, 17, 18, 18, 19, 19, 20, 20. And from there it gets kind of easy, because then 21 is going to be 21, like 20 and 1. 25 is going to be 25, so 20 and 5. Then it goes to 30, which is 30, 40, which is 40, 50, which is 50, etc. It's pretty easy, honestly. Learning numbers in French is pretty easy compared to the rest of the language, which is overcomplicated. Now let's go quickly through time. So if you're going to ask the time to someone, you might want to understand the answer. So in English, you're going to say, what time is it? They're going to say, oh, it's 5:15 or 5:45 or 10:30 or something. In French, you're going to need the numbers for that, obviously. So it might be 10h15, so 10 hours. Heure means hours. So 10h15, which would mean 10 and a quarter. So 10:15. 10h moins quart would be 10 hours minus 15 minutes, so 9:45. And then if someone tells you 10h30, that would be 10:30. Demi is a half, so half an hour. Quickly also, we're gonna go through the liking verbs. So j'aime, aimer is the French word for liking or loving. So if you say j'aime something, it means you like it. I'm sorry. If you say j'aimerais, however, that means I would like something. So bear in mind, I'm writing everything on the screen so you can see for yourself and try to practice at home. Lastly, you might want to decline someone if someone wants to invite you to something or everything, and you don't have enough time for that. You might want to say no thank you, or I'm fine. So best sentence for that would be non merci, which is literally translated as no thank you in English. So I hope you enjoyed. That was fun to make. So tell me in the comments what you want to see next, and if you like that episode, because that was basically a test for later episodes. If you like that, let me know. If you didn't, let me know as well. And yes, I'll see you later. Take care, guys.